when I was younger, I used to play a lot of video games, and there was this idea or theory called speedrunning. And it was when people would go through a video game as quickly as possible, complete only the necessary actions, and do the necessary things in order to get to the next level, level up, and ultimately complete the game in as fast a time as possible. And speedrunning, it's totally pointless, doesn't benefit anyone. And right now I have no interest in video games or speedrunning, but I think the theory can apply to high ticket closing, and I wanted to film a video showing you and going through the core necessary steps you needed to take in order to land a high ticket closing job as quickly as possible. So that's exactly what we're going to jump into, and you can, start the clock and see how it goes. There's only two things that really matter if you want to become a high ticket closer, and it's simply getting good at selling and ultimately landing a high ticket closing job. Those are the only two things. They're the only two core components you need to focus on in order to have success within the industry, and anything else is just a distraction. Anything else is just going to deteriorate you from that goal. They're side quests, they're side missions, they're things that aren't important. So those are the only two things we're really going to focus on, and the only things you should focus on if you want to get into the space. The first thing is obviously going to be getting good at selling, and this video could be really short, but I obviously want to give you enough context at the same time so you can actually go away and apply this stuff. And quite simply, you wouldn't go and apply for a job as a pilot without being able to fly a plane, right? It's the exact same with sales. There's no point applying for a sales job or even looking for a sales job until you actually know how to sell. And I'm seeing it time and time again. Obviously, high ticket closing, the space is getting more and more people coming to it every single day, and I'm seeing more and more people apply for high ticket closing jobs or remote sales jobs without actually being able to sell. Like, experience aside, and we'll come on to the experience side of things, you actually need to be able to sell. You need to be able to run a sales call. You need to know the framework. You need to know how to objection handle. You need to know all these things and actually land a role. And if I'm honest, you might blag landing a role. If you're able to blag through the interview, or you're able to convince a business owner to go and, put you on sales calls for his offer, that's great. But ultimately, you're not going to make any money because you're going to go through a few of those sales calls. You're going to realize you're way out of your depth. And ultimately, you won't make any money because you won't be able to close anybody. It's really important that we do, first take the steps necessary in order to get good at sales. Same as like video games, if we want to relate it back to that. Like, you can't go and fight the boss at the end level unless you have the certain equipment, the certain armor, the certain skill sets necessary in order to actually defeat that big boss at the end, and that big boss could be a prospect that you're going to close on a call. So it's really important you take the time to actually learn and get good at sales first. Otherwise, it's a total waste of your time. And if anything, you're just ruining your reputation within the industry. If you go and land a sales job, blag your way in, lie your way in about your experience, and that business owner finds out you actually can't sell, you're just going to get a bad name for yourself. And obviously, it's not as bad as a pilot, someone trying to become a pilot without being able to fly a plane, because ultimately, if someone did that, there would be a lot of deaths. That's not going to happen here. So the consequences aren't as severe, but still, for you, if you want to make this your career and you want to make a lot of money doing it, just take a little bit longer in the first stages to make sure we know what we're doing on those sales calls first before we go and land a job. So the next question you obviously have is how do you get good at sales? And to be honest, everything's at your fingertips. Again, video could be super short. You have all the resources. You're currently sat on YouTube now watching a video about how to become a high ticket closer. There are thousands of other videos out there. I think we've got about 100 on my channel. There are loads of other videos talking about sales holistically, or teaching you frameworks and scripts and objection handling. There's books, there's free content. There is so much content out there for you to consume that there is literally no excuse for you as to why you couldn't be good at sales. So, that'll be a really great place to start. Start learning, start applying these things, start seeing how to actually run a sales call. Start watching psychology videos. Why do humans think the way they think? Why do we act the way we act? And why do we not, just be straight up with each other? Why is there all these certain things we do on sales calls that result in I need to think about it, or let me go and speak to my partner? Learn the fundamentals, and it's all there for you free on YouTube, or, spend £10 on a book. It's not expensive. You can do it. The difference is that, if we relate it back to speedrunning, and if you want the quickest way possible, sure, go and pay for a coach, go and pay for mentorship. Honestly, it's not 100% necessary, and that is super hypocritical of me to say, given that I have a high ticket coaching program where I teach people exactly how to do this. But you can do it for free. It just really depends on how bad you want it and how much you're willing to work. Of course, you can come to us and you can join Club Closer, and we can give you the most defined roadmap and the defined plan in order to get the results as quickly as possible. But obviously, I know a lot of people watching on YouTube don't necessarily have those financial resources, and that's fine. You can still make it happen. You don't have to invest in a program. Of course, it does massively help, but all the resources are there for you. If you simply just went through my free content on YouTube and did it for about a year, 6 months, you can make it happen. If you wanted to make it in a shorter time possible, sure, get a mentor, join a sales program, preferably mine, but you don't have to. So we're probably about halfway through this speed run now. Like, you're halfway there to becoming a high ticket closer. You know how to sell. You're confident if you get on a sales call, you'll be able to close any prospect, you'll be able to collect your commissions. The next thing is obviously going ahead and finding a high ticket closing job. I don't really care how you do this. It doesn't really matter. You know, whether you reach out on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, you door knock, you cold call, whatever you do to land one of these jobs, it really doesn't matter. The one key component that is actually going to allow you to land a good high ticket sales job is your sales skills, which is kind of a catch-22. You can't progress unless you learn the skill first, unless you learn sales first. And this is because sales is such a tangible skill. It's, you either know it or you don't. You can't hide. You can't hide with sales. Like, it's very apparent. Like, you can see it. If someone's able to sell, you can see it in the way they speak. You can hear it in their voice, their tonality. You can see it in their body language, the way they converse with you. It's so obvious. And especially when they speak about it, you'll hear it in their voice, their conviction. They'll be able to tell you, like, look, I'm good at sales. I've sold millions. You can see me smiling because I know that's true and I have the confidence that I can sell. Learning the skill is the most fundamental thing, and I won't talk about it anymore. And that's the one thing you need to pay attention with when outreaching these jobs, because the first sale you're actually making is yourself. You're selling yourself to these business owners. You're selling yourself onto these interviews. And just to give you a few more examples of that, let's say you're filming a video to send to somebody, asking if they are hiring a high ticket closer and demonstrating your experience. The first 5 seconds of that video really do matter. You can immediately tell if someone's rocking up and be like, hey man, I'm looking for a high ticket closing opportunity. Do you have any? Are you looking for someone on your team? I'm really good at sales and I think I'd kill it for you. No, like, they're not getting hired. I can tell immediately from that was me watching that video, I could tell immediately that person is not good at sales and they're not going to have any success selling on my team, and there's no space for them on my team. If someone's like, hey Marcus, what's going on, man? Hope you're having an amazing day. Just reaching out for that closer opportunity you got, man. I'd love to sell for you. I've been following your stuff for the last 12 months. I've got so much conviction in sales myself. I've been in it the last 12 months and I learned a lot from your stuff. Forget what I'm saying, but listen to how I'm saying it. Like, you can immediately tell that person has confidence. They have conviction. They have the right energy about them in order to sell. And that ultimately all sales is that energy and that conviction. And I guess the last thing to really cover when obviously reaching out for these jobs, and the elephant in the room many people are thinking, is they need sales experience. They need to have experience in high ticket closing in order to land one of these roles. That is simply not true. I've spoken to many sales managers, many business owners within the space, and they've said they don't look for experience. Experience isn't the thing that gets people jobs, right? It's been able to demonstrate those sales skills and actually show them on the interview, on the outreach, on the call, right? You need to be able to illustrate those skills. The experience itself doesn't matter whatsoever. I was at a mastermind this weekend and the sales manager there manages a sales team that does close to $1 million a month. So we don't even look or care about people's experience. We just care about their charisma and their character. And you can see that from the way that they interview. One thing he said as well was, like, they look for people that have had experience with hospitality jobs, people that have gone through, worked in pubs, worked in restaurants, worked in bars. They often have a very good read on people. They're able to read if someone's going to leave them a tip, if they're going to be a difficult customer. It's those minor nuances that really matter. The direct in high ticket closing experience isn't the main thing. And if anything, like, it can be a detriment, especially if you've been coached by a team that, you know, focuses heavily on pressure selling or doesn't bother with, you know, doing discovery. They just dive in on objection handling and, you know, are ruthless with leads. That way of selling, if it's so deeply ingrained in you, it's very hard to unteach and unlearn it. And oftentimes teaching a beginner is going to be easier than teaching that experienced sales rep that has done things for so many years that they struggle to change. And the last thing to really touch on with outreach and actually finding these high ticket sales jobs is the follow-up. Like, we spoke about how on the calls and on the interviews and in the kind of outreach videos or emails or whatever method you're using, it doesn't matter. You're illustrating these sales skills. A big fundamental part of sales is in the follow-up and being able to follow up efficiently. I've spoken to sales managers that will actively not respond to any single job application until somebody has followed up with them at least once, because follow-up is a key part of sales. If you're not following up on your job applications, if you're not following up on the messages you've sent to people asking about high ticket closing opportunities, then, you know, how are you going to follow up with the leads that we give you? How are you going to follow up with the calls that you don't close? Are you just going to leave them like you left this? Like, this job is the most important thing to you. It's important than any close. It's going to allow you to close so many leads. Why are you not ruthlessly following up with us? Why are you not coming in, sending us messages, hitting us up on different platforms and trying to get a response? So that's it. That's all that really matters. Getting good at sales and then getting hired and using those sales skills in getting hired to land a good job. So really, it's only one. It's just getting good at sales. Kind of all you need to land a high ticket sales job.